Well, hey guys, welcome back to The Bearded Buck. Today, we are going to be talking to you about the story of a deer called Nixon. Nixon is just one of the craziest stories and deer that we've chased on this piece of property. There's just so much history with them, and when I start digging into this story, guys, you're almost not going to believe what this deer's went through up until when I was fortunate enough to kill him. When we first laid eyes on him, he was probably a 3-year-old deer or so, and it was a field that we call plantation. It was just a big pine flat that we cleared out, and it's a huge destination plot now.
This particular deer was one of those bucks that had a really small home range. He's right next to a neighbor of ours. He's a friend of ours. He's a good hunter. He manages also. And this deer was staying on a border between us and our neighbor, but his home range was all on us. This neighbor had never seen this deer because we talk a lot about deer and he sees the deer that we see. And this particular deer stayed on us.
That summer, you know, it was probably end of July. We were going out to get velvet footage, just scout, get ready for the season. And as soon as this deer popped out, immediately, it was, you know, big frame, and you could tell it was super unique.
This deer, he come out, we saw him in velvet. We were getting a lot of pictures. He was one of those trail camera happy deer, and we had a lot of pictures of him early on, and he caught our eye because he had good mass, and we knew from a body size on him. We were aging him at only 3 years old. We didn't remember the history on him, but he also started to develop splits on his G2s. Not your typical splits. This deer had splits that went sideways, like quotation marks, and I gave this buck the name Nixon. Now, I'm the old guy in the show. Austin probably doesn't even know who President Nixon was, but he used to always say, I'm not a crook, you know, I'm not a thief, or I'm not a crook, whatever they used to say. I don't even remember it all, but I know he had splits on both his G2s that reminded me of quotation marks, so we named him Nixon. This deer got on our radar that year because he was cool and he had good mass for what we figured a 3-year-old deer, and he had a lot of potential. But more importantly, we thought we're gonna let this buck go because his home range is small, it's on our farm. We're gonna see what happens if we pass this deer up. Now, at the time we decided to pass this 3-year-old up, we were probably just now getting to the point where we're trying to shoot 4- and 5-year-olds. The farm has developed over the years from shooting yearlings to 2-year-olds to 3-year-olds, and as our management plan has grown, we're really trying to let them go so they can grow, as the old National Deer Association saying would go. And this deer was a great candidate for that. So growing up, Austin, from the time he was about 7 years old, Dad's taking him hunting, Dad's sort of doing the scouting, Dad's putting him first. You always want to see your kids do better than you, or be the first one to shoot something, or really have a great accomplishment, whether it's outdoors or in life in general. So as he grew up, I was always scouting for him, getting him ready to go. And then for the last 5, 8, 10 years, you know, he's sort of taken over his own stuff. He's looked for his deer, he's found his deer. Well, I found splits, and I've been watching them for years. And I thought this is my chance to shoot a nice mature buck on the farm. I blow my knee out before season. And splits now all of a sudden becomes patternable. He's got a regular routine. He's coming out in his food plot just before dark. What do? Hey, Austin, splits is regular. You want to go in there and hunt him. I can't climb a tree stand. There's one tree to hunt this deer out of. This was a spot we put this stand in there just for this situation, and it happened to start. Austin got called up. First day of season, guess what? Splits goes down, and Austin gets to harvest splits. So.
I just shot splits. Dude, I think it was a little high. It was high, dude. I think it was high. I think it was high, dude. He came out so early.
It's been 13 hours. We didn't push it at all. There's been no pressure in this part of the woods, so I'm thinking he's either dead within 200-400 yards, or you know what, somehow he made it.
Trail cam in another week, maybe. I don't know.
It's looking like we got some lung there, though, so.
You might want to come over here, Austin. He's not laying here. No, it's not. Yes! Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Splits is dead.
Splits is down, man. A 5-year chase,
for this buck is over. Oh my God, look at the mask. Oh my God, yes.
Go get him, man. 3 years in a row, now we can say it.
Oh my. Look at the body on this thing.
Oh man, he was dead last night.
Oh, he was dead on the run.
Oh
Man. Thanks, everybody.
yeah, thank you so much.
Couldn't work out any better.
I thought it was gonna be a lot harder than that. Come here, Dad. You're just involved as much as me. I mean, you've been hunting this deer longer than I have.
Oh my God, I'm just happy you got him, man.
Look at him.
You know, we didn't find him last night because we didn't go look, but then we wouldn't have all our friends here who always come to help whenever we need them. Splits is a 7-year-old deer we've been chasing for the last 3 years solid. You are the first to see him on the hoof in a stand.
I know, I said that last night. I said, you saw him when we were checking a couple trail cams before. We've never seen this deer. And I told Mike last night that wind died down. I was like, he's coming out tonight. He's coming, Mike.
But, you know, fast forward through archery season, again, still, we kept tabs on him when we were excited. He actually, at the end of archery season, broke both sides of those points that went off of his main beams. So essentially, he was just a big mainframe 6-point. And it was good because right then we knew we're 100% letting this deer go and he's probably going to make it. That is until my dad's childhood friend, Jeff, comes into camp. You know, Jeff has been around for years. We've had his daughters in here shooting bucks and does, but Jeff has never actually shot a buck on our farm. So we told him that year that's what the plan was, for him to come here and hunt for a buck, and he did. But we put him over in the tentative area where Nixon was hanging out, not specifically for Nixon. We told Jeff that is the only deer that you cannot shoot. There was a handful other, you know, nice 10 points, 9 points, just really nice deer, especially for his first one on our property here. But when you know it, last light coming, big frame deer heading right towards the stand. And right when they had the gun out the window at 40 yards, both the camera guy and Jeff were ready to rip. Jeff flipped the safety off, bang. Called us, we were super excited. They come back to the office, show us the video footage. Right away it pops up on the screen. Dad and I look at each other, we're like, that's not the deer you shot, right? And of course it was Nixon. By some grace of God, I mean, not for Jeff unfortunately, I know he was pretty bummed about it, but when it was a little dark, when Jeff shot Nixon, there was a sapling probably about yay big right in front of where that bullet was heading. That bullet went directly through that tree and ricocheted and hit that deer in the brisket. You know, we found a bunch of hair, fat, very little blood. Being a rifle, we were still super nervous and, you know, did, you know, right thing, still went and looked just in case that deer somehow was laying there. But fortunately for us, not Jeff's sake, it wasn't laying there. And like I said, for the next 2 months, we were just a nervous wreck on whether Nixon was laying dead somewhere or who knows what. Fast forward to shed season. We actually found his sheds. He shed super early, probably because of that injury to the brisket, and a little bit of relief. We just knew he had to make it through the winter, and he did, because next year, as soon as velvet season came up, we scattered cameras all over the place and we started getting pictures of him, except he didn't have that unique splits of his G3 and 4s. He was just a mainframe 10-point that year, and honestly, don't have too much to say about him for that next year. We had a couple other bucks that we were sort of focused on. We kept tabs on Nixon that year, knew where he was, knew he was in a safe area to where he was probably going to make it again. So completely really just stayed out of that area, let that deer have zero pressure, and we ended up finding his sheds again. He was a mainframe 10-point that year. Really didn't do much, probably again because of that injury. But fast forward to the next year, velvet season, this is where things get exciting. Velvet season's here, deer are growing. We put cameras out in his usual spots and he showed up and he is just giant this year. He has a goofy side, a weak side, and a super strong side, probably because of that injury. But his good side was just about as good as a Pennsylvania deer can get. And the plan was for Dad to hunt this deer.
So I spent a good bit of time in preseason scouting for Nixon, trail cams everywhere, not invading his home turf too much, scouting outside in. I've got some really cool velvet footage of him making a scrape early on in full velvet, and he just looks phenomenal. And I know this is my #1 target buck this year. Austin was after Elliott, I believe. He had a buck he was targeting, but Nixon was the deer I was finally going to be able to target. I didn't want to go in too quick on him. I didn't want to pressure him. We hunt from the outside in through season go, so we were taking our time on him.
Things were looking great. I mean, he was relatively patternable in the summer months, but as soon as he got closer to season, he became nocturnal, like all big deer do. And Jerry sort of, as the season progressed, sort of gave up on Nixon to hunt another 3 or 4 deer that are in the same area that were mature deer, great deer for Pennsylvania. So I saw that as I should probably sneak in there and probably try to find this deer and kill it. Jerry wasn't too thrilled about that.
I don't recall exactly what happened, but I knew I couldn't hunt the very next day. I think I was off for my birthday, or I don't recall. Probably because it's a blur what happened after this. So I go away for a day, I come back, and Austin says, "Hey, I'm gonna hunt Nixon tonight." And I'm like, what's wrong with Elliott? Where's Elliott? Or where's the buck here? I didn't even know what he called his buck because I was focused on Nixon.
Backtrack to year 1 when I saw him, I told Jerry, I said, I guarantee you that deer is on that thick, nasty hillside with a doe this time of the year. He was there multiple occasions when I saw him when I was hunting Elliott. We don't have him on camera over here. He's in there, I know it. And he was like, oh yeah, whatever. He just continued to hunt those other deer.
And I thought, okay, go ahead. He doesn't know where he was. Little did I know, Austin's got some stealth cams on the other side of the farm where he's getting pictures of Nixon.
So with that being said, I took it upon myself to take some stealth cameras over there and line them on this big destination plot that we call the hub that sits just off of this nasty, thick hillside where I kind of figured he was hanging out and with some does. And that was the case because it was the first night I put those trail cameras out. There's Nixon on an old logging road, big as can be with a doe. And I was super excited. I knew right then, I mean, we had a chance to kill this deer. So the next day went by and broad daylight, I mean, 10 o'clock in the morning through 1 o'clock, Nixon was in the field that we call the hub, just chasing does. That next day, it wasn't ideal conditions to hunt, so I said, you know what, we're gonna do a scout. I'm gonna go scout a different piece of property because I was, unfortunately, on the struggle bus that year hunting the deer I call Lefty at my piece of property in Indiana County that was an absolute ghost, and things were not going our way out there, so we decided to shift gears and try to do some scouting to find something different. So we had Nixon, and like I said, we weren't hunting that night, so we were going to do some other scouting in another piece of property. But on my way to scout, I get a notification on Stealth Cam, Nixon is in the hub at 10 o'clock in the morning. And he is just dogging does. I turned the truck, I was probably 35 minutes away. I turned the truck straight around, drove back to the office here. I walked in and told one of our producers, I said, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but get dressed right now. We're gonna go in the stand. It was not an ideal condition. We went into an old wooden rifle stand that you cannot even draw back a compound bow with. So we took the Raven with us that night, and walking into the stand, we busted some does. They went up over the hill and we just hunkered down and watched them. And I was like, all right, well, those does obviously saw us, and it sucks, but we'll see what happens. And no sooner than we about stand up, here's Nixon right on those does trail, completely oblivious to us, was just chasing those does. He's beholding a doe right there. And he went up over the hill, and I told our producer, we need to get to the stand right now while they're up on that hillside. And I just, in my gut, I knew the way that terrain laid out, that deer, at least those does, were probably gonna wrap the backside of that hill, and there was a chance for them to pop back out right in front of us. So we got in a stand, and I'm telling you, it wasn't an hour that we were in a stand. Doe pops out, and like clockwork, I mean, like you wrote it in a book right after Nixon pops out, and it was that holy shit moment. There's Nixon.
I told you. I told you.
And he popped out, and there's a little slither of autumn olive that they went into, and he just held her in there for a little bit. And I grabbed it. Completely just terrible scenario too, trying to grunt at a deer, but I knew we had to do something. He was potentially going to be territorial with that doe there, so I grunted out the window. And as soon as I did, here he comes, all postured.
There he is right there. There's a little buck right here. It's coming to look for us. I saw him in the weeds coming back out.
And at the same time, I think we probably would have killed him the first time, but at the same time, he was coming right to us. Another little 8-point came out.
He's right here. He's right here. Oh my God. We got him dead. Window's open.
And I'm like, okay, well, we got to give this one more go. Let out a bleat and a grunt that time.
He's probably, there he is, come back out. He's come back out. Same spot. Yes, 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 yes. Was it a little low? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? He didn't come out of there. We just shot Nixon. I didn't see the shot. Was it low? A little low? Too low? I don't think so. He didn't come out of there. He didn't come out of there. I didn't see it. I didn't see it right through the scope or anything, but when I pulled my eyes away real quick, it looked low. I am absolutely just filled with emotions right now. We come out here tonight for that deer specifically, and I need to see, I don't know exactly how low that was. I just know it was low. He'd never come out of there. He could be laying there dead. I don't know. We're gonna back out for sure and redo the footage, but holy cow, that happened quick. That's how November is. November 1st. I'm just nervous, man. I'm just nervous. I don't know how low or where it was. I don't smell guts at all. I don't smell guts at all. Well, guys, we got the arrow. I don't smell any guts on it whatsoever, but still not taking reason we even got the arrow is because we have to sneak out this way, but we're just gonna be quiet and sneak out of here. Well guys, we're here the next morning hoping to find Nixon here pretty quick. I think we were definitely way on the side of caution. I think he potentially was dead before dark last night, but Dad was out of town, wanted him to be here with us, so we waited till this morning. Plus, it just wasn't worth risking, especially with the history that we have with this deer. I mean, Nixon is just, I mean, the story of this deer is just amazing. And the caliber of a Pennsylvania deer like this, too, one of my biggest, is we just couldn't risk it. Obviously, we shot right there. Right there. We found he went in right here. We found a couple specks of blood right here. Yeah.
A lot of dew and such last night.
Yeah, I might not see any blood, but the last we saw him was just, he cut right up through there toward that tallest tree right there. I think
Was this trail maybe falling on this?
Yeah, he curled around
Was
here.
he walking?
No, he's running.
Oh, he ran all the way?
Hard, yeah.
Death run.
I honestly think, knock on wood, hopefully, he's laying dead by that tall tree up there. Just walked, I don't know how far, checking this super steep hillside where I know he's living, and just found a little bit of blood right there. This was the main area I wanted to come in if we didn't find him up there closer to the field, but it's so steep, there's old tram roads on it, and this is really the only place for him to be if he's going to be hurt. I mean, there's probably 3 or 4 tram roads, but I'm guessing he's on this one if there's a little bit of blood right there, but oh my God, Mike, he's right here. He's laying dead right here. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at him. Wow. Look at the body on that deer. Oh my goodness, look at Nixon, Mike. Oh my good God. Oh, man, he's not even stiff. He must have died late last night. Look at that dang deer. Holy cow. I gotta call Dad right now. I'll be honest with you, he made it a little bit farther than I thought he was going to. I think the shot was a little bit further back than we thought too. I just found him.
You did?
Yeah, straight down over on the edge of that thicket where we thought he was staying.
I'm just up top of the tower on the first bench.
Man, is he beautiful. Wow. Look at Nixon, man. Look at that deer. Good Lord. I mean, what an just an emotional roller coaster ride it has been for this deer alone. I mean, not let alone our hunting season. This deer its life has been as crazy as you can imagine for a whitetail's life. This deer was hit by a rifle by one of our good friends 2 years ago, right in a brisket, lived through it, found both of his sheds. Didn't hunt him at all last year because he was a little downhill because of that injury. Found both of his sheds this past year, and when he popped up this year in Velvet, we knew we had to kill Nixon. Man, what a stud. Look at that. Look at these extra points in character. Look at the brow points, and whew, this might be my biggest Pennsylvania deer. Look at the mass that this deer has. Look at him.
Holy smokes, buddy.
Look at the mass on this deer.
Oh my goodness. Nixon.
He's big, man. That's the story of
He
Nixon.
couldn't come down a steeper hill, could he?
No.
You know what? This deer.
We found blood right back there.
He's coming on this tram. He's
Yeah.
walking across. This is where he's bedded for years over here.
Yeah.
He didn't quite make it back in there. Look at the body.
Look at the mass he has. Look how big these tines are.
Austin, this deer, out of all the years of managing stuff, means more to us.
I'm telling you, that's nice. This deer had, I mean, the life of this deer alone is just a story in itself.
We've passed this deer up for years. We wanted him to mature, get to this size. And then last year when he was mature, we weren't fortunate enough to take him.
Well, I said I think he went a little downhill last year because of that injury, getting hit with a rifle, and luckily we let him go and he made it to this year, and obviously he just exploded.
That is a PA brute right there, buddy.
I'd said this very easily could be my best Pennsylvania buck.
But just an amazing hunt, probably a hunt that I know I'll never forget. It's just crazy to grunt a mature deer in like that twice and then be able to kill him. It's just crazy, but no, just an awesome moment for us on a bearded buck farm.
Splits was down a couple years past, now Nixon's gone. It's time for Austin to find the old man a couple bucks, but he did great. Nixon was down, we celebrated the heck out of a big mature buck on our farm in Pennsylvania, and I couldn't be happier for Austin and for our crew for growing such an awesome deer.